We are live from Vicfalls in Zimbabwe at the Elephant Hospital, where we are just joined with all other African states and the African Council for Distance Education. Join with me here today. We are so much honored to have the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Science and Technology Development, Dr. Washington Mbizvo. Sir, we are so much honored to have you here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, my brother.
Thank you. Sir, today we are here for the 4th ACDE, where most African countries are here represented. What does this really mean for us as Zimbabweans to be hosting such an event? And also, what is the impact for such a conference for the Zimbabweans?
Well, first and foremost, I like to believe that this is a great honor indeed for the African countries to choose to host this particular thing, to choose Zimbabwe as a host country. And this is an important event. This is the 4th conference of the African Council for Distance Education. In other words, there's an attempt to perhaps bring all those countries that are involved in distance education in terms of the universities that do offer distance education to come together and compare notes. Basically, the discussion appears to feature on sustainability of distance education, quality assurance systems in distance education, and indeed the growth of distance education. As you will appreciate, distance education is a mode that is being utilized and used by African countries in order to increase access to education. Access is vital, particularly as we approach the education for all by 2015. That's the target that was set up.
Deadline is now close.
Absolutely. We only have 6 months to go before we reach 2015.
Is it going to be feasible? Yes.
Well, I guess for a good number of countries it is. For Zimbabwe already we had surpassed our target. We, as you know, we are already on 92% literacy levels. So I guess what we need now to do is to share experiences, to share good practices, and to share knowledge. After all, nobody has a monopoly of knowledge. So basically, what we are doing here is to compare notes with other African countries, and a good number of European countries are also here, I'm surprised, including Canada.
True, we noticed.
Yeah. So this is an appropriate forum which brings African countries and African universities to really look at how best they can use distance education to increase access.
PEMSEC, another sensitive topic that we have been deliberating on, guest speaker after guest speaker, was the issue of technology in education, or education and technology, managing to join those two and seeing how best we can actually develop and enhance our technology, our education via technology. Your sentiments on that topic, PS?
Well, if we go back to the theme of this conference, the theme goes continental integration through open and distance education. So the key word there is integration. So we're looking at continental integration, and if we were to cascade it down, we would come to a position where we are talking of inter-country coordination, and thereafter we cascade it further down. We look at institutional integration. From the institution's point of view, we look at the program coordination and integration. Now, I want us to go back to the left center, which is basically the program itself. And I want to believe that the only way that you can practically coordinate programs for distance education and make them more user-friendly, more interesting, is perhaps the only in the integration of ICT systems. So basically, there's a movement now from what used to be called open and distance learning or distance education to now what we call ODEL, Open Distance Electronic Learning. In other words, we
let's
have
say more on the ODEL component.
Yes, absolutely. We are now using electronic systems, ICT systems, as a mode for basically facilitating and accessing education through ODEL systems. We can quote Namibia as a good example, where in Namibia they've had to use teleconferencing systems with a big visa system, and they can beam the northern part of Namibia to the outskirts, to the far remote areas of Namibia, and introduce basic literacy, basic numeracy through teleconferencing systems. Or coming back home to Zimbabwe, we've had to use ICT systems in 3 teachers' colleges. We have Hillside Teachers College in Bulawayo. We have Tertiary Teachers College in Manicaland Province. We also have the Belvedere Technical Teachers College in Harare. Now these 3 teachers' colleges are now offering a B.Ed science education through ODEL systems in conjunction with the University of Zimbabwe. So we're now running programs aimed at producing a graduate, for science and mathematics, because this is the prime shortage within our system of education in Zimbabwe. We hardly have now teachers for sciences, particularly at A-level. So this is a hard-hit area where the children tend to focus on the humanities and arts because of shortage of teachers. Particularly at Form 5 and Form 6 at A-level. So we are now running this program in conjunction with the University of Zimbabwe, and we're using ICT systems. And ICT systems is the way to go. I mean, look at what the President has managed to do in terms of finishing schools with computers. Oh yeah, it has never happened anywhere in the world. And so we are really way ahead. But we don't want to say it. I mean, let others talk about it. And here we are just, as it were, sharing information and comparing notes. But at the end of the day, there are some very practical, good practices. But in the majority of cases, I think Zimbabwe is way ahead.
All right.
Let me humble myself and admit that we are way ahead.
As far as our curriculum PS is concerned, technology, we know that this is a very, very, it's a highly volatile, or rather, it's very dynamic as far as technology is concerned. I do not know how is the ministry changing updating the curriculum so that it is also aligned with the dynamic ICT world. How relevant and how consistent is the government also working on that?
Well, you see, in Zimbabwe, in particular, we have had to set up a Council for Higher Education called ZimChair. The business of ZimChair is basically to quality assure programs. So it's not just about quality control, which comes at the end. No, it's really total quality assurance for all the systems. And this now means that any degree offered in Zimbabwe is accredited and must be certified. In other words, if a university would want to launch a new degree or a new program, there has to be an approval by ZimChair, by this Council of Higher Education. And within ZimChair's setting, they have an audit department which actually looks into academic audits. It moves from one university to the other. It moves from one institution to the other. Firstly, it does the registration of that institution. It does accreditation of that institution. And thereafter, it monitors the whole range of quality assurance. And now what we have in Zimbabwe at the moment is we've had to ensure that each university establishes a quality assurance unit within the university. Apart from, of course, external assessment, which has always been done, now we need to assure the nation and assure ourselves and assure the programs that when we talk of a degree, it is really a robust degree which is commensurate with international levels and standards, a degree that is relevant in terms of use. As I mentioned yesterday at this forum, that quality in itself is fitness for purpose. So basically, if a degree is not fit, is not suitable for employment, it's not a degree at all. It has to measure to certain levels, and basically, this is the direction in which we're moving towards, and this is the way to go.
I'm fully aware, Piers, that your ministry also has the technological and the educational component. How has been the government working, and how has been the response or rather the progress towards the development of ICTs to improve our education? Where can you say we are right now as Zimbabweans? How has been the progress probably in the past few years? And maybe where do you think we are really going at that, just as a...
I think we're moving on the right trajectory. Perhaps it may not be at the right pace. As you know, that in Zimbabwe at the moment we suffer from interruptions of electricity here and there, but otherwise I think that in our teachers' colleges we have introduced ICT systems. In our universities, almost every student has access to the computer, to the use of the computer system. So this is the situation in this country. We are doing extremely well, basically. We have the opportunity of comparing notes, even at SADC level. You know, we sit at SADC level as permanent secretaries quite frequently, and we have a program that we have set up on Odell systems within SADC, which has been funded by the ACDE, African Development Bank, and we decided that we would set up a headquarters for coordination within SADC in Botswana. By and large, this particular program is sponsored by the Commonwealth of Learning, and we found that Botswana would be ideal. So we're doing very well indeed in ICT systems. I mean, as I said earlier on, look at what the president has done. Providing computers. In fact, only this week we learned of the donation of many computers at some secondary school, I think in Mattville and South, to show. But otherwise, it's an ongoing process of bringing in technology system within our curriculum. So there's this integration of the latest technologies in Zimbabwe.
Okay, with the integration of the latest technology, I understand that infrastructure and the hardware component also it strongly affects the development of ICTs, especially for the education front. How has been the infrastructure development also affecting your ministry in as far as the development of ICTs infrastructure? The right and all that, how has that been affecting your ministry also?
Well, development of infrastructure is on the slow side, I must admit, because when we develop infrastructure, we depend heavily on what is called PSIPs in government, public sector investment programs. And we are facing some challenges in respect of financing PSIP projects, PSIP programs. However, it will soon come to pass. We think that the potential is there. We have drawn up our 5-year plan, which is still in place at the moment. And within that, we are now focusing primarily on Zim Asset. And within Zim Asset, our prime objective is to rapidly increase access to education. And what we're doing basically is we're using the existing institutions we have, to increase access by way of introducing what I may call bridging courses. For example, we have a good number of students who have failed to go into polytechnics, we fail to go into teachers' colleges because they do not have mathematics. So teachers' colleges are now offering mathematics during school vacations, during college vacations, and these are bridging courses. Again, this is one strategy for increasing access, these bridging courses. At the same time, we now have universities offering bridging courses, and in some cases, courses geared towards enhancing the level of knowledge for science and mathematics teachers. Bindura University of Science Education has a big project where they are running a program for 1,600 teachers in service then within the various provinces of Mashona. So we have all these multi-dimensional programs, and our prime objective is to increase access. We're looking at the critical shortage of maths and science teachers. So we're addressing the needs of the sister ministry of secondary and primary education. You spoke earlier on of specific needs. At the same time, within the context of the polytechnics, we are addressing the needs of industry. We have now incorporated what we call technopreneurial programs, where the recipients of our programs in polytechnics are also given technical skills which are integrated with enterprise development and enterprise creation skills, so that at the end of the day, they can venture into some cottage industries or some industries and get on with employment creation. I mean, let's face it, we've really faced a decline in industrial growth. If anything, some factories and companies, big industries closed down. So we cannot just watch things happen. We have to do something, and hence absolutely. And talking about technology, we have also set up what we call incubation centers. We have a good model at the National University of Science and Technology for incubating science and technology. We have yet another exciting program at the Harare Institute of Technology. As you know, this is a university with a difference. And we want to spread the concept of incubation centers and production centers to all scientific and technologically biased universities in the country.
Okay. Probably maybe this is my last one piece. Zimbabwe, 92% literacy rate, the highest in Africa. And also of interest, you noted that Zimbabwe also once dedicated about 30% of our budget towards the education of fraternities, and we are really coming out as a force to reckon with as far as our literacy is concerned in Zimbabwe. What is the secret? A few more minutes just before we shut down this interview. What is our secret to success? I think it's been so many years since we have been leading globally as the most highly nation with the most literate people. What has been the secret for us as a Zimbabwean nation? What really got us there?
Well, it can be debated in different forums. I like to believe that it is the thrust and the impetus that was created and generated by the president, Comrade Robert Mugabe, at the time that he was prime minister, in 1980, immediately after independence. And don't forget, these strategies were developed in Maputo before independence. So the prime minister at the time, I'm sure, before independence, there was that think tank composed of people like Dr. Zingaim Tubuka in Mozambique, who were conceptualizing new strategies in the event that Zimbabwe took over. And of course, we have been led by one of the most highly educated persons in the name of President Robert Mugabe. He himself is an inspiration, even to young people like yourself, to everybody. And he is the Chancellor of State Universities, and he is the model in terms of academics and the world of academia. So that in itself has been, if you like, cascaded downwards. I mean, look, at independence we inherited a system where, if you look at the period between 1890 to 1980, this is over a period of 100 years.
100 years, yeah, 100 years.
And there were about 102 secondary schools within that period of 100 years. And between 1980 and 1985, within a period of 5 years, those secondary schools had multiplied to over 400.
Wow.
And then up to 1990, we were now talking of over 1,600 secondary schools. This was phenomenal increase, which has never happened. It's unprecedented. It has never happened anywhere in the world. You look at our universities, we only had one university, but now we are boasting of 15 universities, when I include private universities and
with the state universities also.
And currently we are developing 3 universities, one in Matbiland, South Province, Rwanda State University, one in Manicaland State University, and another one in Marondera, at a place that used to be called the Dosemary Farm under Chief Jose in that particular area. And we are developing satellite institutions. We've increased the polytechnics. We have increased teachers' colleges now with Mbizvo, which used to be a disused mine. And so basically, I think our president thinks of education, dreams of education.
It's a very vital component.
Absolutely. Education, it is blood. So really, the rhythm and tempo.
Also coming that he has been a teacher also.
Absolutely.
All right. It's been really a nice day, Permanent Secretary, to have this short interview. Probably maybe your last 3-4 words to our viewers as far as education and technology is concerned. 3-4 words just before we close this down.
Well, I'd like to advise viewers that let's continue to uphold our values. Let's continue to support our systems, but more importantly, let's continue to think positively. It doesn't help us if we just criticize for the sake of criticizing. I think we need to uphold our values. We need to be proud of our systems. We need to create that self-identity, the Africanness of the African, and the Zimbabwean of the Zimbabwean, within our hearts, and the good Lord will continue to bless us.
Right. That's the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Higher and Tertiary Education, Science and Technology Development, Dr. Washington Mbizvo. Said, thank you so much for taking this time to share with us and reflect with our viewers here live from Victoria Falls and the Elephant Hills at the ACDE, the 4th session 2014. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, it's really been a pleasure talking to you. I'm so grateful.
Okay, well, that's it.
God bless.